Hi, I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer. I'm a retired financial advisor who passes his time with sharing his take on the stock market and other investment opportunities, particular real estate as well. I have a Discord, a part of Best of Us Investors, and I enjoy going to it and reading what some of my tribe members are saying because it gives me a handle on where people are in the stock market. Do I think it's representative of the overall stock market? Yeah, I think it is. And today, I was reading some comments that were basically saying that 2020 was an anomaly. It's not going to happen again. We're certainly not going to have the profits that we made in 2020 again in 2021. And I tend to disagree with that. And I'd like to spend a little part of this video explaining to you why I think that is wrong, why I think that it is, as they have said, we need to go back to the stable companies that show profits, that aren't startups or aren't technologically oriented, that the things that happened in 2020, the returns that ARK Invest and Cathie Woods got in 2020 just will never happen again. I tend to disagree, and I'd like to tell you why I disagree. So stay with me. Let me get this little message that I'm not your financial advisor, and don't rely on me for your investments, and do your own due diligence, and then I'll be right back.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Grinkmeyer.
Okay. The statement was, and quite a support to the statement, that we're going back to the normal stock market. I just don't think that's true. I have a vague memory, an infant's memory of World War II. And if you don't know what World War II was all about, it was about a guy in Germany by the name of Adolf Hitler who decided that his Aryan race was the superior race, and in fact that he wanted to take control of Europe. And he built an army, he built missiles, and he proceeded to do that. Europe fought bravely, and then the United States got into it, and then Japan got into it, and then with nuclear warfare, we brought it to an end. Okay? And the world basically got together and said, this can never happen again. And if you want to learn more about that, read this book. It's called The Accidental Superpower. And it tells you how, as a result of the end of World War II, the United States became the largest economy in the world. And it gives you some framework as to understand what happens when things get out of order. Well, we're now at a position where we basically have been brought to our knees as an economy as a result of the pandemic. And you need to recognize where that pandemic came from. It came from China. You need to also recognize that in the past year, some of our major corporations were hacked. And those hacks came from places like Russia and China and Iran. I just want you to think about what if the last year hadn't been a pandemic, as instead it had been a war, a biological war. The United States has never been as vulnerable as it is right here today. And that is because of our broken supply chain, which came to the attention of the world. as a result of the pandemic. Look at the semiconductor situation. We've got manufacturers of automobiles shutting down because they don't have a little semiconductor. How did that happen? How did we get ourselves in that position? Did you notice that the vaccines that we're taking had to be flown across an ocean to get to us? How did that happen? I thought we led the world in science, and no, we don't. How did that happen? Have you noticed that we just get most of our goods, our clothes, our shoes from places across an ocean? How did that happen? And how can we allow it to happen? Again, if in fact it had been a biological war, it had been a cyber war, how would we have brought that to an end? It would have turned into a nuclear war. That's how we brought World War II to an end. We blew up Hiroshima and Nagasaki and said, if this shit doesn't stop, we're going to annihilate the world. That's what we did. That's what would have had to have happened in 2020 if it had been a biological war. So can that happen? Do you think I'm the only one who has come to this realization? Why do you think the country, our country, is spending trillions upon trillions of dollars to make the changes that need to happen? We're calling it an infrastructure build out, but what it really is a bring the United States back to a secure position so this can never happen again. Why do you think that such attention is now going to biotech to make sure that if a pandemic does show up in our country again, we know about it immediately? If you saw my video that I did, which was a recap basically of 60 Minutes last weekend, you know that the government, through the military, is working on implants that you can put on your body that will tell you within 24 hours prior to you developing any kind of illness. Why do you think the government is spending money on that sort of thing and testing it on the military? Why do you think the last of that video, I introduced you to a doctor who said that within 3 years, they will be able to identify and stop any pandemic that we haven't even dreamed about? Why do you think that's happening? And do you think it's going to be done by the stable companies? The stable companies. And that's what my Discord is telling me, that you all are saying that's what we're going to go back to. That our future is going to be controlled and basically driven by Procter and Gamble and Clorox and GE and General Motors and Ford, those stable companies that show a profit. That's where we need to be investing. I'm sorry, but if that's what you believe, you aren't paying attention. You didn't watch 60 Minutes last Sunday. You don't read the Wall Street Journal. You're clueless as to what just happened over the past 12 months. Our country, our world, our civilization was brought to their knees. We didn't get that far down in World War II. It never made it to our soil other than Hawaii. Never made it. But it did this time. And if you think that was a pandemic, that was World War III. As it will happen if World War III ever does happen. That's what it will look like. Except there'll be no vaccines. We won't be able to get them unless we have that technology on our shores. The only answer, if this had been a war, was nuclear destruction and let the missiles fly. I just don't think, and I believe that in Washington, D.C., these conversations have been had, but it's pretty dangerous to put it out. We need to regroup. We need to get all the technology on our side, on our shores, and make sure this never happens again. I just, 76 years old, I remember when Khrushchev piled on the table and said that he was going to dominate the United States, and we made sure that didn't happen again. They put missiles in Cuba, and we made sure it didn't happen again. But we got to make sure this one never happens again. And if you want to invest in your future, then read about it. Understand what's going to happen. Read the book 2030. Understand how we got to where we are today, and understand where we're going in the future. What genome sequencing is. I told you I had a meeting with some people who were affiliated with one of our local hospitals, and I said, do you know what CRISPR is? And I had no idea. My wife was having breakfast this morning and said to the couples, do you own any Bitcoin? Because she knows I just acquired some. And they said, what is Bitcoin? We live in a world where we think everybody's up to speed as we are. That ain't the case. 99% of the world has no understanding what Bitcoin is, and only a few of us have a clue about NFTs. Only a few of us, which tells me if you can get in front of it, you got a lot of opportunity in front of you. So that's what I'm seeing on my Discord. That's what I wanted to share with you. If you want to invest in the future, if you want to stay ahead of what's happening rather than trying to play catch up, subscribe to my channel, and then go to Best of Us Investors and become a member of our tribe and discuss things like this, and get yourself up to speed as what's going to happen. I want you to know what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to make your head spin. Already, this cryptocurrency thing, it's been working its way, but with the introduction of Coinbase, just turn on CNBC. That's all they're talking about. This has come to fruition, and you need to be a part of it. Even this old dog is now the proud owner of Bitcoin. And we're going to talk more about that maybe next week. All right. Have a good weekend, and get ready for what's going to be a pivot point in the history of this country. I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer. I'm a retired financial advisor, and you all give me something to get excited about. See you tomorrow.